Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We're starting early this morning. Just wanted to get this day done and get some things done. So we thought, let's try to do a little earlier because a lot of people are watching at like midnight and 1 in the morning. And so that's the answer to that one. Let's see, let's go skip that. There we are. 1 in the morning. And so let's lower the volume. Answer to that one. There we go. Now I can hear us and so forth and so on. So what it comes down to is the Fed raised 3/4 of a point and at the same time made a very good excuse that September he will use two factors, or that's what he claimed, two factors that he will make a decision if they're going to even decide what to do in September. I call it one factor, and that is the election. But we expected that out of Titus. How you doing? Figured we try to do this early in the morning once in a while like this. Make it a little bit easier for some people. 3 hours early makes a big difference. And we get up around now, and we're always doing our work around now, so why not? So every so often we're going to try to do it like maybe once a week or every other week. We'll try to do it maybe once a week. We'll do this early one. What it really comes down to is the Federal Reserve and Mr. Powell even couldn't figure out what everybody else knows, and that is that a recession is 2 gross domestic product, GDP, negative. 2 quarters, not 2 months, 2 quarters. That's 6 months of data. Now, the Georgia Federal Reserve says it's going to be a minus 1 point something. They say 1.6. It could be 1.9. It could be 1.2 or 0.09. It could be something, but it's more than likely going to be negative. Mr. Powell came out and said, "Oh no, I don't know about that." Yeah, you don't know about that because you don't want to raise rates. Yeah, exactly. For Europe, for Australia, for Asia, so forth and so on. It makes it a little bit easier to be able to do this early in the morning. So we'll do this every so often. I'll talk to Giannis about trying to do at least one day a week, maybe Wednesdays or something like that, so we can talk about the middle of the week and what's going on. Maybe Thursdays coming down into the edge. Frunzel, how you doing? Thought we'd make it a little bit easier for you. And so that's really where we're at the moment. Unfortunately, the Federal Reserve seems to be lost and going nowhere. They have no clear direction. And then he challenged. This is the fun part. Then Mr. Powell challenged the labor numbers. Now, this man sees the labor numbers better than most. And he says, geez, I don't understand how we could be in a recession when unemployment is so low. Well, I imagine that if he didn't have a $9 trillion portfolio that has grown from a $450 billion one, so it's gone from, imagine if you had $450, or let's say this, we'll call it this way in euros. Imagine if you had 450 euros in your pocket, and then all of a sudden you find that what you really have is 9,000 euros in your pocket. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought I had 450 euros in my pocket. No. You have 9,000 euros in your pocket. Well, where did it all come from? I don't know. You just put 450 euros in your pocket, and now you have 9,000 euros in your pocket. Does it grow in there? I guess it does. It must grow. So that was Mr. Powell's doubt, his challenge, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, his fantasy. He didn't know how his portfolio went from 450 billion to 9 trillion. It's a magical thing. And so he's challenging, the labor numbers. Well, guess what? You're paying people to fall off the rolls of employment. That's what is happening. All right. Anyhow, that's where we stand. You can see this morning the dollar's looking, it's been breaking down softly and easily. You can see 2 days there of green. It didn't work out well. You can see the green line was there. So it was trying. It lifted it. One day was actually in a buy on Doc's math here. You can see it right there. Where's it at? Let's make that a little bit wider too, like that. You can see there, it went into the buy for one day, went right back down into the sell, and we are cleanly in the sell now with no problem at all. At the same time, we're still in that long weekly sell. We've been in a weekly sell now. Let's tighten it up and just show you, or just move it over. You can see right there. We've been in a weekly buy. There is no weekly sell. So every time it goes into a sell, now that was a buy, no doubt about it, and it jumped up a little bit. If you bought it around the close or underneath the close or right at the close or whatever, it went up a little bit higher, and then you put a stop in, and the next thing you know, it drops down. If you're long in the options, you got an option spread on, you got some type of binary on. It's might be like 3 months old, so or 2 months old, so you're not worried. You're trying to trade it up. But we do know one thing, and that is sell an extra call, turn it into a butterfly, do whatever, because you see the weakness is coming back into it again. We don't really believe the dollar is going to sell down too much. We just know that there is more sellers than buyers at the moment. That's what it just says. That's what the math is trying to tell us. And at the same time, you can see J4X doing the same thing. It's trying to curve over right here. You see that right there. You see it. The green line is trying to break down. It's playing with the yellow dashed line. And the hinky ASCII bars are breaking into their red. Now let's take a look at some of the individual pairs. Remember, traders, anybody wants to see anything, you can cleanly interrupt me and jump and just put it up on the chat line. We'll go take a look at it, because we like to look at people. We like to look at whatever someone is looking at. You never know where a good trade can come from. And when someone suggests looking at something, we may not pay attention to it, and then all of a sudden you show it to us, and it's like, ooh, it could be a good trade, or it could be something to stay away from. But there are so many products, as you see when we go to just trying to put another product up on the screen. There's so many products, it's hard to scan all of them all the time. There's the Swiss Dow intraday. What is your idea today? Let's take a look at it. Dow intraday. At this point in time, we'll go to the daily. Let me just put it in first. And let's go over to the daily real quick while it's loading up. And there is the Dow daily at the moment. There's the Dow daily. And then we'll take a look at the intraday. You see it's just a little weak, nothing major, just kind of a little unched. It's tried to close into the daily buy yesterday. It's one of the only products that did not close in the daily buy, which was a surprise. Just show you the other two indices. The S&Ps closed in the daily buy yesterday, and they're acting basically the same way, just very firm. And the Nasdaq, now that's something's wrong with that. Let me see if we can fix that. Every so often we get that. There it is. That's better. And yesterday the Nasdaq did the same thing, closed in a buy. It's showing a little weakness today, but still in the buy. They're all in weekly buys, as you can see there. The NQs, the S&P 500, all in weekly buys, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average are all firm. Now let's go take a look at the intraday and see what it looks like here. And there it is in the center. You see they're doing a little popping as we speak. Now this is a 396 bar. You can see it went into the sell right there, and it was going down. It went into the sell at 32,138, and has traded as low as 32,102 and 92 last. So it went into the sell at 138. So it's dropped about 40 points, and all of a sudden there's a little pop here. Now you can see our math was trying to turn up in the sense that the histograms kept on trying to move higher lows. You see the green line making it through the time manifold on the negative side, so some pressure's coming. You see the echo, as I like to call it, the dashed line. That's that. This is a. Let me just show you what this is. This is the super. See, it's this gas line 3.5 super. So everything is 3, and then the echo is a 5. You can see it's closed into a daily buy right there, and we'll see how that goes, see what kind of strength we get out of that. It was a pretty good pop. Now the problem with this, and I'll repeat myself here, the problem with this is that it did it. Notice when it jumps so fast that it's up above the top. It's going from the negative to the top so fast, there can be a very short-lived strength, and it has to go down and readjust itself. In this case here, it wasn't too bad at the beginning of the European, right before the European hours. It did it in a thin market. And what we really like is the second move usually, where it tries to go negative and then tries to pop positive out of it. But right now, this is acting, it should hesitate because of the spike. We would rather have seen a small move and not leap so fast through the top of the manifold so quickly. And you can see there, it's just dancing along. We'll see how well that goes. But what's happening at the moment is that it reached up very quickly. And I guess you could say because of the width of the manifold itself, see how it's bulging and it's not tight? That can be, it can be like 3 or 4 bars trying to lift up. And so we'll see, and we will watch this go back and forth a little bit just for Franzel there, and see what we can get going there. See if it's going to do another bar. Where are we at now? Where's the count? Where's the count? Format. Style. Last price marker line. Maybe not. That'll do it. No, that's not what I want. We want to see how many bars it is. Right now, you add the 2 bars together, up and down, and it's 96 at the moment. Now it's 97. It's very thin. Let's see what the S&Ps are doing at the same time. S&Ps are 3 bars into it. It's much more liquid. It went into the buy. Notice right there on the edge, and it's lifting much better. It's the better trade. We trade that much more than we trade the Dow. Unfortunately, Dow is more of a slow, steady product, and this will probably show a little bit more strength just because the S&P is doing that. And we widen that out for you. And again, we really like it to be wide like this right there, and wider, and we like to see then the buy like right there, and it has a little bit better chance of making intraday money. And so we'll go back and forth a little bit and see how the plays itself out. It should be a little bit more strength. You can see here the second indicator we're using this one here is it's a gas, not that, right there. There we are. Gas 5. It's the same as the echo, and you can see it's trying to get up through here. So there's a little strength there. When you see it down here in the weakness and it starts to break through, that's usually the sign of the strength. But until we get that buy signal, like right there, which was a nice one, it's the same thing there. And I'm not always happy when it's up on top of it like that, because it's getting ready to roll over. But we'll see it. It's pushing. They're pushing. It is 5:44 a.m. here in the States, and by 6 o'clock in 16 minutes, what happens? A lot of fund managers come in and they've concluded what they wanted to do yesterday after the markets closed, and if they see their scenario, that they have these little committees to decide what to do. So what happens is that the funds, especially the hedge funds in particular, thousands of them, have committees in the afternoon after the market closes and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to, if this does something, or if that does something, or if we see some weakness. And what they'll do is they'll step up and buy the futures contract right around now, if it's a buy side strategy. And then what'll happen is during the trading day, they will sell the future out and buy the stocks and that's what they do. They interchange one for the other. And so what they do is they're always playing a game. Funds like to play games. They like to be stock pickers. They have a strategy in the sense of if they buy 6 or 7 different stocks or 12 different stocks, or it depends on the size of the fund. If it's a $2 billion fund, it could be 15 stocks or 20 stocks. If it's or 24 stocks, right around there. Usually it's like 17 to 24 on a $2 billion, and then when it's a $10 billion, it could be as much as like 38 or 40 or 50 stocks. And if it's a $50 billion fund, then it could be like you're talking about 100 and some odd stocks, different companies, not individuals, not 100 stocks itself, 100 shares. And so then what happens is that as the market is more liquid during the normal New York hours, they sell the future and reach in and buy those 100 stocks or those 50 stocks or those 24 stocks or 17 stocks, depending on the size of their fund, and they sell out the future. And that's why you see markets move in a like a up and down action. In other words, it's choppy. That's why you see this. You see this move here like that, and then you see like that. And European companies are probably doing that right now in the European markets, in Milan and in London and in Frankfurt and so forth and so on. And they're doing the same thing. They're long the DAX and they're selling the futures. They're trying to buy the DAX stocks and at the same time selling out the DAX future. And that's how they do that. And that's what they do. They do that this time in the morning in the United States. Hedge fund managers are in. They're in by 6 o'clock. Or they have an order sitting there waiting to buy, from the committee meeting the night. They do like 2 or 3 meetings a day. They do one before the market opens. They do one at the end of the market. And then they do one during the market. And then if something jumps out in between all that, they'll do one at 2 hours before the market closes. Depends on how much action is in the market. Sometimes they'll do 3 meetings, sometimes they'll do 4. And that's how funds work. So, in this case here, you see the Dow was moving down, so there was a good chance that some said, if you see some strength, let's lighten up a little bit, sell some futures. And then over here, somebody else is doing the opposite. They say, hey, their committee meeting at the end of the day was, if you see some weakness, buy some futures. And then we will adjust the portfolio when the actual stock market is more liquid after it's officially open, not during the electronic market itself. Unless they see some stocks being offered really cheap compared to where they were yesterday, or vice versa, very expensive. And that game goes on every day. All right, from there, you can see they did make a little pop out of it, and now they're doing that little digestion, again, because the green line is above. And especially, now if this had pierced the blue echo, I would be more bearish. But since it hasn't, I expect to see a little weakness in here and another turn up. All right, from there, we'll drift over to the currencies again. How's that? I hope that worked out real well for you, Frenzel. And I gave you a good physical explanation of the action that fund managers and the funds themselves do every day. All right, let's go to the currencies again. There's the dollar index. You can see that, it's doing the same thing as J4X. It's got that red thing going on a couple days in a row, and it was underneath there, so we had basically a red line up in here, and now it's definitely looks like, at the moment, let's put it that way, it's trying to go into the sell totally and showing us the weakness. But again, we're in that long weekly buy. The echo is breaking down a little bit. It's something to be concerned, and you can see the green line is trying to break the manifold. So maybe this one will be the one where the metals go up, like we talked about yesterday, the pairs, the silver gold pairs trade, ratio trade, and we're seeing that strength today. So let's take a look at the Swiss real quick, like we have up on the J4X, right there. And you can see Swiss has been moving down for days. And you can see at the same time we went into the weekly sell at the close of this week. So maybe we'll see a weaker dollar and a stronger metals complex. And that could be, that's what we talked about yesterday. That ratio is pretty far away. And they know that they're not going to be, the chances are Mr. Powell's not raising rates for the next 12 weeks, possibly. That's what it really comes down to, almost right up on the edge of the election. So, and I'm thinking he's building a story. He made the statement that he doesn't trust the labor numbers. He doesn't trust the labor numbers. You can't make this stuff up, honestly. This stuff is so laughable and so funny. Everybody knows that a recession is officially 2 quarters or /12 6 months. And his own Federal Reserve is telling us that there is weakness. But somehow or another, he doesn't trust the numbers. And I guess you guess why he shouldn't trust the numbers. He knows he's been fudging the numbers himself. He put the Federal Reserve's balance sheet was $450 billion, and now it's $9 trillion. So yeah, no wonder he doesn't trust the numbers. He's been fudging them himself. That's a good reason not to trust him. I wish he would have said that yesterday. He could have said, hey, I just realized my budget, my balance sheet has gone from $450 billion to $9 trillion. So why would I trust any other numbers out there? I'm the culprit. I'm the one that's making all the mistakes. But no, he doesn't say that. He just says crazy stuff like, that unemployment number just doesn't look right. Funny boy. All right, from there we'll take a look at the euro. Notice the euro is not getting back into the buy. We've had like a 1/3 bounce from the bottom end of the range. I mean, that's like a whole new range there. Let's put it up there for the fun of it. And there it is right there. It didn't even get 50% up. You can see that. It's kind of interesting in its own right. I think we'll leave that there for a little while and see how they treat it. And as long as we stay in that weekly sell, we'll leave that in there. How's that? That's what we'll do. We'll follow that for a while. And for Franzel, let's just take a quick peek over there. There you go. There's that weakness we talked about. And why? Because of the green line trying to, pierce the time manifold. Maybe it'll still stay above, like it is right there. And we'll see how that plays for a little while there. Okay, now let's go back to the currencies, unless anybody wants to see something like the way Franzel did. And let's take a look at the British pound, see what the British pound's up to. That's pretty firm. You can see it here. Went into the daily buy there, and we finally got that pop out of it. We figured, I think we mentioned that 2 days ago. We thought, okay, now maybe it'll do this. They'll give it a spike, and they gave it a spike. And you can see here the weekly is trying. The white histogram, it's months and months and months in a sell, since the 130 something area right up in here. And you can see, the pressure has been on. And again, money managers trading the currencies do the same thing, same game, just a little bit more liquid in some ways, a little bit, a little bit different, but still the same strategy. They look at it in the morning, they look at it in the afternoon, they look at it before the market, they look at it after the market, that type of thing. And they can play games with different products that are designated in those things. So in other words, what they'll do is, whereas a stock hedge fund will be buying the stocks and selling the futures back out so that they're long just stock and not hedged. The currency ones, they will be looking at different characteristics of the different countries and pairs trades and the interest rates and they'll look at the fundamentals. and they'll try to adjust their position to that. In other words, they will. Let's say the portfolio has like something like 40% of their currency, their equity in euros, and then they're trading against the dollar. They're long euros, and they're long Swiss, and they're long British pounds, and they're long, Japanese yen, that type of thing. And then what they'll do is, and long Canadian dollar, they'll long a lot of the majors. And then what they'll do is they'll sell the stock indice, against it. And then, when they buy currency, and they'll sell out the stock indice, that type of thing. And they can also, since they're hedging against dollars, they might sell soybeans or corn and go in and buy options and binaries and so forth. They can, as long as it's designated in the dollar, they'll play games with it. They'll possibly buy silver or gold, and that will play on and on and on and on. So you can see here, the British pound's been relatively firm now for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, going on a 9th day. And you can see here, we're doing just like we did right there. We tried to climb up to the zero line, and then it failed. It just couldn't get its act together. Now we'll drift over to the Turkish lira. Let's put the cable up there real quick for you too. Right there. All that green. See it? Now let's go over to the Turkish lira. We'll take a look and see what the dollar is doing. This is to me, it's like an index. Right there, it was trading almost 18 yesterday. It was like 17.95 or 4, something like that. Today's high is 17.93.7. So it didn't take out yesterday's high. And there it is right there. Now, when looking at the dollar Turkish lira, right? I'm sorry, the euro Turkish lira. You see, it's not challenging the top up there. You can see that we have the dashed lines on that, or the dotted lines on that. It's not even close to moving towards that. Now, that could be inflation, I guess. Yeah, I mean, they're buying, the dollar is gaining against the Turkish lira way more than the euro is. It's a much more stable pairs trade. It trades like currencies, And we'll widen that out again. They did take out yesterday's high, whereas the dollar Turkish lira did not. But then the dollar's Turkish lira is trying to take out all-time highs. Now you can see it's in a weekly buy for a second week. It had drifted under on Monday, but we're starting to lift up in here, and you can see 2 days in a daily buy now. So there's a lot of firmness going on between the euro Turkish lira. Now for Franzel, let's drift back again and see what's going on. And we get the little bounce. There's that second one. Let's see if that one takes out the highs in here. And you see that action there. It's playing with the manifold. And these are still bullish for 4 bars now. Let's just take a look at the euro, not the euro, the S&P 500. The S&P is beginning it also. Now this one, this is the more liquid intraday product. The S&Ps. There we go. It's taken out its highs there now. And let's see how it's trying to lift here. All right. Now let's drift back to the currencies again. And remember, traders, we will look at anything. We will look at anything. And I am chewing gum this morning since it's early in the morning and I'm talking a lot. So at this point in time, it makes my mouth a little bit more liquid. All right. From there, we'll go to Canadian. And from Canadian, we'll look at oil, too, at the same time. You can see that it's gaining against the dollar. It's in the sell for a second day. And we're in the weekly sell for 1 full week now. So we'll go over to gold. And you can see gold is lifting up. And we got a nice move yesterday. I guess you could say it closed at 17.15, and yesterday it closed at made $17 from its close. $17 move. So that's pretty good. And today it's picking up another $6 as we speak, and it got up to almost $17.50. So we're seeing the strength in gold there. Let's check out oil. I'm sure oil's doing the same thing. Yep. Oil lifted up. What's the problem there? Settings. There we are. And so it closed in a buy yesterday. I'm not sure why that. It should be over here like that. I'm not sure why that's down. We'll have to double check those numbers, because it closed in a buy yesterday, and I will double check the numbers. It was fine. Now, we had on Thursdays. It seems like Wednesday afternoons and Thursdays the data gets a little wishy-washy in some of the products. We have to go to the exchange, which I'm going to do right now, and see what malfunction is there. So this is the September contract, and we'll take a look at that really quick. And yesterday's September contract, the low was on this is 94.77 at the exchange. That low is 94.30. So that's what's messing it up. We're seeing some different numbers in there. That's what we're seeing. Different numbers. Yep, we'll fix that. And that was in a buy, and that's why we put the lines in there, just to remind us where it was at. And this needs to be cleaned up more. And then you can see it's lifting up again there. And that's why we see the Canadian gaining against the dollar, because oil is going up in value. Let's put Canadian up on the J4X there, right there. And it's going down. That's what it's supposed to do, because we're seeing gains in oil and gold. Now we're going to slide back to the, let's see, let's do this. Matter of fact, I'm going to fix that right now. Let me do that while we're here. Let's see, where's that at? So go like that. Quote manager, and we'll fix the lows in oil. Let's see, where is it at? Earl. There it is. September contract. And yesterday's low was 30. There we are. And there we are. And then we go like that. And then let's see what happens here. There we go. And then we have to watch these things, and that's why we put those safety lines in there to emphasize it's in a buy and so forth. And last night the math told us it was, and then all of a sudden the data is a little off. Now you see there at 94.30 on the low. All right, what else can we say about any of that? I guess that's about it when it comes to oil. And we'll save that too at the same time. Now what we'll do is we'll put gold up there. Where's gold at? Gold. There's gold. And we will save that too at the same time. Gold. Where's gold? Right there. Then at the same time, we look at the... I'm trying to think what we were looking at. Oh, let's go over for Franzel again. See, they didn't take out the high right there, but the S&Ps did. Did it a couple times. Took it the high there, and it did it again there. And this is the more liquid product. And you can see we're running a much higher number on this too, 783. This is so much more active, so many more bars compared to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And that means you have to trade them differently. There's only 5 bars to that compared to like almost 10 on the S&Ps. And this is a 396. Can you imagine if we were running a 396 on the S&Ps, it would have been like 20 bars, you know? All right. They have different characteristics the way they are. They're like an engine. One piston's up, one piston's down. But they're all moving in the same direction, but just a little more lethargically, I guess you could say. All right, from there we go over to the currencies again, and we'll take a look at the South African Rand since the gold is up. Right there, and there it is. And since gold is up, we would expect to see, like yesterday they took it down, but today, look at that, they're trying to bounce it a little bit. Yesterday they threatened to go into the buy and failed. And if gold stays firm, I would assume, but look at that, red and a green, we're getting some volatility signal. Just like right there was the last volatility signal we saw. There's the last one. It was a topping pattern. This one was a bottoming pattern. This one really does emphasize it sometimes. When you look at the red and the green, they can be at the corners. And then you can see here, there was a red and a green. And it took a while to get it to go. Went into a sell again. There was the next one, and then you got that buy out of it. And it was a nice little buy out of it there. Right there was a sell. It was in a sell, and it just went down for a couple more days, and that's how you read those mixed dots situation. All right, and then let's do this too at the same time. We'll just, since we're just looking at all of it, let's take a look at this. Let's see. Oop, cancel there. We'll go over to the yen. There's the next currency to look at. You can see the yen is still in that sell from up in here. It's flirting with the weekly. It's very close. There's a lot of pressure on it. Put the yen up on the machine here. There it is right there. You see pressure is on. It's trying to move down. It was moving down. It tried to bounce. And it same as ours. We tried to bounce, but we were a red and a green, so we didn't take that too serious there. Unfortunately, we can't get the Hinky Askies to do that for us over here. So it kind of pushed it into the buy, and now it's pushing down. And that's hence why we show you the Chicago Quant and the J4X. J4X does a great job, better than any other public indicator I've seen out there. But obviously our proprietary Chicago Quant Technologies indicator is the cat's meow. Wow. All right, from there we'll go south of the border and take a look at the Mexican peso. Right there. And you can see there, peso is doing that thing. It's bouncing kind of in the middle of the range, playing underneath the 50 percentile. Then it ran up to the 0.76, playing with the 0.38. You can see it's been in a sell from here. I know I put the red line in there before. There it is. And we're still in that weekly buy. And we have to go back and find one day why that thing is like that. Some data in there is probably bad. All right, and you can see here it's holding up pretty well, bouncing off the manifold and trying to lift again. So this might go back up and visit this area in here. And that is the Mexican peso. All right, from there we've finished the currencies. But if anybody sees a currency they would like, just let us know, and we will go back to it. Now let's go over to the metals complex, and we'll take a look at silver and copper and so forth. And there's silver. Silver has gone from, let me just take a look at it on the exchange level too. September. There we are. And silver was at a close of 1853 2 days ago. Then yesterday, it seems odd, doesn't it? That number looks very odd. And then yesterday, the high was 1910, almost 1909.5. And from there, so that was 50 cents. And then over 50 cents. And then today, another 50 cents. So it's going up almost $1 now since we talked about the ratio. And so if you had that's $100. And then if you had same thing with gold, gold is only going up like $45. So the spread is coming down, as we talked about yesterday. Just showing you live action of it all. And then from there, let's save that. There it is, silver. So from there we go over to copper. Copper doing the same thing. It's been firm for days, over a week now. And the weekly is trying to launch. Oh, let's go back to silver real quick. I want to see where the weekly silver is. Weekly silver is still showing us, just a little. We would like to see this thing lift up more. We're not really getting that at the moment. Really surprised that we're not dancing along the edges where on gold, same situation. They can't get this weekly to go. And we're real disappointed about that because we would love to see this thing find its way into the weekly buy over the next couple of weeks, going into mid-August, late August. Then we figure that since there's more than likely there's no increase of interest rates going into September, then the election will have more of an impact on the metals. And we're thinking early October, the explosion will be emphasized very clearly, and with that explosion, we will see the metals market take off even more going into next year, because they're gonna press down on Powell to stop this stuff. I mean, he keeps on doing some strange things, like challenging his own numbers, forgetting about the idea that he's taking the balance sheet from $450 billion to $9 trillion, things like that. We're just tired of hearing that strange stuff from him. And that is really the irritation of it all. Too much politics in the metals market. Now let's quickly again take a peek at what Franzel's looking at. There is the S&P trying to get back to the plus side this morning. Where's it at? Right there. And let's take a look at the intraday again. And it's done that with there's the Dow just vacillating back and forth. Couldn't even take out that high. Now we're playing with the downside. Now let's take a look at the S&P right there. Doing the same thing. Actually, it went into the sell on that one. Right there. No, it's actually zero. Plot 1 and plot 4 are zeros. So it's just showing us that it hasn't gotten into the sell. Now it's trying to get into the sell as we speak. And it's up to 500, 400. Yeah, it's up to 500, and it's almost up to 500. Now it's at 500. Now it's at 511. Now it's at 553. And we're looking at a 783 bar right there. You can see the mouse. Can you see the mouse? No. Let's do this. Right there. You see it right there. 783 contracts. And that's doing the same thing as we were saying over here. It pushed it way too fast down. Way too fast. We'll see how this bottoms in here and sees it try to turn up again. Alright, now we'll go back over to the stock indices again. Now that we've done the metals, we'll go do the energies. And there is the... I want to save that. Right there. There we go. Now let's take a look at the energy complex right there. And there's crude oil. And it's holding up firm. Let's put the... There it is right there, Brent. That should be green by now. We were green yesterday for us, so just another hour or so, and I would imagine Brent will be green. It should press. Yesterday was green for Brent. I'm a little surprised. I guess it's down a little bit, isn't it? Is that what it is? Previous bid. So we're seeing the U.S. product lift. Are we seeing that over here? There it is. So yesterday it closed at 07304, and today it's closing at 10307. So it's actually down. Brent is down and U.S. is up. That's a good thing for Europe. That's a very positive thing. We want to see the energy sector find a way to go down, not up. And then we'll take a look at the back month right there. See what that's up to. Now that needs to be fixed also. The low is wrong. That's the November contract. And yesterday's low, let me just fix it. Yesterday's low in November was right there, crude. And yesterday's low was, it's totally different. I have a low of 90.80. And yesterday's low is not 90.80 right there. So let's fix that. 90.80 low. Maybe I need to do that like this. Maybe that'll do it. See if that straightens it out. It's still off. It's still showing a red. And let's see, go like that, and then we'll go like this, and we'll fix that one now. New quote. There we are. Oh, they're talking about oil right now as we speak. Yeah, we should start to see that, back off a little bit, because we're seeing oil backing off. Mr. What's his name? Mr. Biden has been releasing energy from the reserve. So it's definitely pushing some opportunity into the whole thing. There we are. Oh, they're talking about Bitcoin too. We'll have to go back and check that. Let me just fix this. There it is. Let's go to 24-hour. There we are. There we go. That's how it worked out yesterday. It was in a buy. There was a line in there yesterday too. Glad I remembered that. There we are. All right, now let's save that. There we go. All right, from there, let's check out Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin. Now that low is lower. I don't understand what that malfunction is there, but we got to bring that low down. You can see the weekly closed in a weekly last week, so this is trying to show some strength in here, and at the same time, that low is definitely wrong. Matter of fact, I think the contract is starting to get changed too. So let me just take a look at the August contract in it. There's the August contract. Yeah, see, it was lower, and it's trying to climb up, and now it is climbing into the buy there today. That makes sense. All right. Now, let's take a look at, from there, let's take a look at Bitcoin. And then we'll go take a look at the gases that everybody is concerned about, and we are concerned about too. But let's just show you Bitcoin on here. Right there. You see it's trying to leap up pretty well there. We had a red and green on that one. And you can see that green line piercing up. You see the strength showing into the cryptos. All right, from there, let's go over to, who's left in here? Let's go to, there's natural gas. Let's put up natural gas on there. Natural gas. We want to see the European gas. right there. Good. It's underneath the 28. That's a positive thing. You can see ours is flirting with a sell here this morning also at the same time. So that's the U.S. gas trading at $8.50, and the European natural gas is trading at $27 basically and 91 cents. And we will see that pressure on that try to alleviate itself. Here we are. And let's save that. Boom, done. All right. Let me just go back to that November gas. So I want crude. Just want to double check that. Yeah, that's good. Look at that. The weekly is actually piercing up. That's what's interesting, is that we're seeing different types of pressures develop out of that whole thing. Like that. There we are. Let me just save it. There we go. Now let's take a look at the front month. It's not doing that. You can see how weak it is. Right there. So the back month is actually flirting with a weekly buy, which a lot of times is an indication of strength to come. The back months go first. You know, they contango it. Now we'll go over and we'll take a look at the interest rates, since that's what Mr. Powell played with yesterday. He raised them. You can see it's flirting with a sell at the moment. Let's see. There it is. Playing with that sell. So let's do this. Remove that and slide that in. Let me just double check it on the exchange and see what the exchange has for it. What is that? Right there, and it's B, like in boy. This is the 30-year bond. And since they know that it's not getting jacked up, it makes it a lot easier for them to be able to trade these bonds. You know, there's a window there. Bond funds do the same thing as, see, that's upside down. The settlement yesterday was 42.80, and they're showing a settlement there of 41.27. So let's fix that. 42.80 right there, like so. There we go. And then we go like this. Slide this down like so. See what it does there. There we are. That makes more sense. And then we'll fix it again to the 24-hour cycle. And there it goes. That's the action we expect out of it all. Still in the buy. Now, there is news out this morning that the Democrats in the United States Congress look like they are going to try to raise taxes out of nowhere in a recession. Not a good move. Definitely not a good move. It's one thing, it's bad enough that interest rates are going up, but to actually do taxes up, that kind of freaks things out even more. Every time you turn around, they do something to try to sabotage our economy. And that is what we have to live with all the time and put up with. And you can see here's the 10-year bond, and it's reflecting, again, the fact that more than likely they're not raising rates for the next 12 weeks. And so the bond traders will trade that way. They will. They'll trade that way. All right, Franzel, let's go over and take a look at the intraday again for you. So they did that. They pressed it down. Now we're just going to see if it tries to do a lift up here. Went into the sell there and went just barely down. It was very little action. And now it's trying to lift up. Let's see what it looks like on the S&P 500. Oh, that's the S&P 500. There it is. There it is. There. So that's still down, just one bar. It's trying to go into the sell. All right, traders. What else can we say about anything else? I don't think there's much more left to be said. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down about 47 points, is it? No, 56 points right there. We'll put them all back together again. You can see the S&Ps are down 12 points. The Dow is down 53 points as we speak, 54. It's ticking away live. And the NASDAQ, or the Tech 100, is down 85 points. And so that's the whole game right there. All right, traders, we're out of here. And today's title, we got to come up with a title today. What should we call today's title? How about how hedge funds trade, or something like that? How the funds trade the markets. That sounds like one that's pretty good. And we got into the conversation really nicely, I thought. And that's important for everybody to understand, how the game is played. And we will try to do this once a week, where we do it a little bit earlier and make it easier for everybody. And I guess that's the best way, is to be a little bit more dynamic, So this is Doc from North America. See you tomorrow, back 3 hours later again, back to the norm. But we will do this once a week. Maybe we'll set up one day a week. We'll do this, like on Wednesdays. We'll do this every Wednesday, something like that, where we'll be a little bit earlier and make it easier for some people in the world to tune in. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. See you all tomorrow on TGIF. Ta-ta for now, traders. Wiedersehen.